You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
Alright, so the Lions got a very crucial game this Saturday against the Panthers. Yes, the Lions are playing on a Saturday this week because Sunday is Christmas, which is why I also have an ugly Christmas sweater on. This is a Detroit Tigers ugly Christmas sweater. So yeah, I got like 3 ugly Christmas sweaters up in my room. I got this one, I got a Red Wings one, and I got that Detroit Lions one that lights up. And yes, I am going to bring the Lions one up Saturday. Regardless if the Lions win or lose this Saturday, I will have that Lions ugly Christmas sweater on for the recap Saturday. But yeah, big game for the Lions, to keep that playoff push going. They're playing the Carolina Panthers. As Carolina, they're also trying to keep their season alive, as the only way the Panthers can make the playoffs at this point is winning the NFC South. And they're still trying to keep up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that division. So let's take a look at this matchup and let's see how the Lions fare this week against Carolina. So yeah, Carolina, they still have a shot at the playoffs despite a lot of the turmoil they faced this year. With the Matt Rule thing. We'll talk more about that later on. But anyway, let's talk about this game. So, of course, the current point spread for this game, it has Detroit favored in this game by 2.5 points. So the Lions are 3-point favorites against the Panthers, which I think that's pretty reasonable. Carolina, they lead the all-time series against Detroit 7-3. And usually, every time that Detroit has gone down to Bank of America Stadium in Carolina, the Lions have usually struggled down there. Because the Lions' last win in Charlotte was in 1999, the first time they ever played against the Panthers. So yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle down in Carolina. Usually Detroit's 2 other wins have come at Ford Field. But yeah, Detroit this year, they're 3-3 on the road this year. Carolina is 4-4 at home this year. And this game is also I believe this is Carolina's last home game of the season. Since this is Carolina's 9th home game of the year. So Carolina's on their last home game of the year. As the Panthers' last 2 games of the year will be on the road. So yeah. And Detroit, Detroit, they've also won their last 3 road games too. So a very interesting matchup for sure. Of course, at QB, the QB now is Sam Darnold for the Jets, as, they had Baker Mayfield to start the year. But then the Panthers realized why. the Cleveland Browns moved on for Baker Mayfield for a goddamn sexual masseuse assaulter. And Deshaun Watson, a horny boy. And then they told Baker Mayfield to fuck off. And sent Baker straight, and Baker ends up now with the Rams to try and help the Lions tank out. Since the Lions own the Rams' first round pick this year. Of course, the main starter offense was Christian McCaffrey. Until McCaffrey got flipped to the 49ers for some draft picks. So now at running back, they got to count on Chuba Hubbard as the lead down back for the Panthers. And the receiving core, it has some good names, like DJ Moore. You also got Terrence Mitch Marshall. You got Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble. The defense, you have names in there like Derek Brown, anchoring the D-line. The D-line's mainly anchored by Derek Brown and Brian Burns. You also got Yuta Gross-Matos. You also got Shaq Thompson, Frankie Lavu, and Damian Wilson. Brandon Smith is out for this game as he's on the IR for an ankle injury. The secondary is headed by Jeremy Chin and J.C. Horn, two top players at their respective positions. They're also going to be without Dante Action Jackson, as Jackson's out for the year with an Achilles injury, which that's brutal for him. Of course, Matt Rule, he was fired after the 1-4 start earlier in the year. So now the interim head coach for the Panthers is Steve Wilkes. Of course, Steve Wilkes has had previous head coaching experience. His last head coaching gig in the NFL was with the Arizona Cardinals back in 2018. Of course, the last time the Lions faced the Steve Wilkes team, it was against the Cardinals in 2018, which the Lions won that game 17-3. And also at Matt Rule being fired, add Matt Rule to the list of big-name college coaches that didn't pan out at the professional level. Seriously. When are teams going to learn that just because a coach did well in college, it does not automatically mean it's going to translate to NFL? When are teams going to learn that? Hell, the last NFL head coach to win a national college championship at a Super Bowl was Pete Carroll. Let's let that sink in. But Matt Rule, Matt Rule is back in college now with Nebraska, where he's more comfortable. Now, whether he can turn Nebraska around or not is yet to be seen, but the best case scenario for Nebraska right now is playing second fiddle to either Michigan or Ohio State. Since everyone knows the Big Ten Conference goes through those two teams. But anyway, continuing on, the offensive coordinator for the Panthers is Ben McAdoo, or as we all called him with the Giants, Ben McAderp. And then they also got rid of their defensive coordinator, so they got interim one in Al Holcomb. The Panthers' offense is the second worst offense in the league, ranked 31st. They're 30th in the passing game, the third worst. And they're 17th in the running game. Most of that running game, though, was partially due to Christian McCaffrey, where they were a lot better with McCaffrey, but once McCaffrey left, it kind of went downhill. The defense is okay. It's mid-pack and ranked 16th. They're tied for 13th against the pass, but this defense's main problem is against the run, as they're ranked 22nd against the run. So obviously, one of the big keys to winning this game is easily establish the run. They just got to run that ball, feed it to Swift and Jamal Williams and Justin Jackson. Just establish that run and keep the Panthers offense, tire that Panthers defense out. Also try and take advantage of the secondary that's a bit banged up, and you got a bunch of young guys in there. I think the Lions, 100%, they need to get J-Mo more involved on just more than a fucking go route. Try to get him more plays in there. I think you got to rip the Band-Aid off at some point. I understand trying to ease it back in, but at some point, you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and just let it heal naturally. But yeah, of course, a crucial game for the Lions in the defense, just get pressure to Sam Darnold. And if you get pressure to Darnold, he'll fold. Stuff the run, stuff Hubbard. find a way to take DJ Moore out of this game. So, the Lions got a lot to do, but this is easily a winnable game, like I mentioned before the last couple weeks. Last 3 games of the season are effectively must-win games. This is one of them. Like, the Lions got to win this game to stay alive in the playoff race. Like, I don't think it's going to be an easy game considering the Lions' history at Bank of America Stadium, but most of that history was with the same old Lions. Brand new Lions, that's a different ballpark. But, I am confident. But the Lions, they've been red hot as of late. The Panthers, they're just fighting to try and stay alive. There's really no, both teams trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Detroit trying to get it to the 7th and final playoff spot. The Panthers are trying to win the end and trying to stay pace with Tampa Bay to possibly maybe win the NFC South. Going to be a very tough game. But I do think the Lions can pull this one out. I do think the Lions will win this one. I got Detroit by a score of 24-19. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. But in the end, I feel like the Lions take this one. I got the Lions by 5 in this one. And here's the crazy thing. Well, for the Lions, not only do they have to win this game, we also need some help from the outside. Because for this week, we have to be Kansas City Chiefs fans, and we got to be San Francisco 49ers fans again. Because Washington plays San Francisco and Seattle plays Kansas City. And here's the crazy thing. If Detroit can do their job and handle their business against the Panthers, and then Seattle loses to Kansas City and Washington loses to San Francisco, if that scenario plays out, then the 7th and final playoff spot potentially after week 16 would go to Detroit. Detroit could potentially be in the final wild card spot after this week. If everything goes to plan and Detroit does their job against Carolina. So yeah, a lot to play for this week for sure. But you know what? This team has been very good. I'm confident they can go to Carolina and get that job done. And there's a good chance that this game is effectively a de facto home game. Because the Carolina Panthers have had some massive attendance issues. And usually their stadium has been full of the opposing fans. Like, I believe a couple weeks ago when they played the Bucs about a month or so ago, the stadium was mainly dominated by Buccaneers fans. And I do feel like there is a good chance that this game could be dominated by Lions. This stadium could get dominated by Lions fans. But hey, any chance we can to take away Carolina's home field advantage, we take it. Try and pack that. Let's try and pack that bitch as loud as we can and make that our new home. And make that our outdoor Ford field. But yeah, can't take anyone for granted in this league, Any given Sunday, any team can have a bad day. The rest of the schedule is very favorable for the Lions. Well, except for Green Bay, because we don't know what the fuck Green Bay's going to do week 18. But, Detroit's got to handle their business the next 2 weeks. And there's a good chance where if everything plays out the next 2 weeks, Detroit potentially could lock up a playoff spot after week 17. If everything goes to plan. Or at least be in a position to control their own destiny entering week 18. And I honestly want to be in a position to control our own destiny week 18. But yeah, I think the perfect Christmas gift this year is to get that win against the Panthers and potentially be in that 7th and final playoff spot with 2 weeks remaining. And a position to potentially control our own destiny. But yeah, Carolina, they're also trying to stay pace with the Bucs too, so not going to be an easy game. Carolina's going to try and go all out. And Detroit's got to go all out too, but I do think the Lions get this one here. I got Detroit by 5 over the Panthers in a pretty close game. I think the Panthers are going to play it pretty close. If anything, I think that Panthers defense will try and keep the Panthers in this game. But yeah, I do think Detroit wins this game and could potentially be in that 7th and final playoff spot. But yeah, also, if you look at the Coach of the Year race, a Coach of the Year, it's effectively a 2-man race. between Nick Sirianni of the Eagles and Dan Campbell of the Lions. I'll just say this here, like, if the Lions make the playoffs this year, Dan Campbell's easily a shoo-in for Coach of the Year because, I mean, Nick Sirianni with the Eagles, not many of us are surprised about him, where the Eagles are right now. Maybe a little too good. Well, maybe they did a little more than we thought, but, I mean, we all expected the Eagles to be contenders with how they did the offseason this year. You know, when they got Jordan Davis and then acquiring A.J. Brown. But, yeah. But I do think that if the Lions do make the playoffs, I think Dan Campbell should easily be Coach of the Year 100%. But yeah, you know, let's just go down to Charlotte this week and handle our business against the Panthers. And let's take these Black Kitties out in the Battle of the Cats this week. But yeah, anyway, though, let's go get this one and let's start and let's have ourselves a good Christmas. And get that what's out, because all I want for Christmas is a Lions win this Saturday. But anyway, let's go get it Saturday, and let's get to 8-7 and get in the playoffs. And keep the playoff push going. Anyway, I'm out.